All right, I want to show you one of my favorite techniques, and this is all about dry curing your own bacon. If you're like me, I love bacon, and when I go to the supermarket, it just gets more and more expensive, and the pack sizes are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And so I'm gonna show you how to take this pork belly and make some jerk bacon at home. For this series, we partnered with Red Stripe to bring you a taste of the island. And it starts off with choosing the best cut of pork belly that there is. Not all cuts of pork belly are created equal. And what you want is what Chinese people call 5 layers of pork. And so if you look here, there's like meat, fat, meat, fat, meat, fat. And you want all of those layers, and it makes a huge difference into the marbling of the meat. And so I'm gonna show you how to take this pork belly and make some jerk bacon at home. So it starts off with the pork belly, and this one has the skin on top, and I'll show you how to take that off as well too. It's real easy. So you flip it over, and then you take a steel. Make sure you have a nice sharp knife. This is my favorite kind of knife to use for this cut. This is a 6-inch boning knife, and this one has just like a slight curve to it as well too. I use it for meat, use it for fish, use it for poultry, all the above. So then I take my knife, I put the skin down like this. Start off at any of the corners, just pick one of the corners. Just go like this, and you're gonna work your knife all the way down. And then once you start to have a little bit of an edge like this, it becomes a little bit easier, because then you can actually flip this over. You just give a little bit of a pressure and you hold that skin. That knife just works its way underneath that pork. And then you look how nice and clean that is, like this. And so I'm gonna go from the other edge as well too. Nice and clean, nice and smooth. And you can save this for chicharron, crispy skins. Don't throw this stuff away. But then you get bacon that's nice and smooth and clean on the top, and this is ready to make your bacon. So now we're gonna start the curing process for the dry cured bacon. And it starts off with weighing the pork belly. And what I like about this is it's an equilibrium brine. And what that means is there's absolutely no way that you can over brine, over season, and you can leave it like this almost indefinitely, and it's gonna turn out for you perfectly every single time. And it starts out with weighing it. So I have 1,250 grams. So I multiply that, and I'm gonna write it all out. And I have 2.5% of salt, and that's gonna equal 31 grams. So this is my kosher salt. I'm gonna weigh out 31 grams in here. Now that doesn't look like a lot of salt, but this is the exact amount that it is required for this size of pork belly. And then I'm gonna add 1% of brown sugar. So that's 13 grams. I love the precision of doing the dry brine like this, because you're just not gonna have the over-salted, under-salted. You don't have to worry about all those when you measure everything properly. And then this is the one that I really like using. I suggest to use it as well too. This is nitrite salt. Some people, a little bit controversial, but I'm not doing this every single day. It's your choice, but if you want that nice bright pink meat that's gonna stay juicy, that's gonna have that look, have that appeal, all it's gonna take is 1.3 grams, which is a tiny amount. And that's why I have this micro scale. And this is all it takes for this pork belly to stay nice and rosy pink. And I stir all this together. And I'm gonna add a little bit of black pepper. And I stir all that up together. And then I spread my pork belly out, and you wanna make sure that you get it evenly coated all the way over. And that means any of those nooks and crannies, just move that meat around, really press it in there. So it takes a little while, but it's so worth it. It's really an easy step. Like, this has taken me a few minutes at max. And it's just so nice to make your own cured products at home. And you just gotta make sure that you respect the quantities. And that's why I like having the micro scale, the regular scale. It just makes a much more certain cook as well too. It gives me a lot of confidence in the kitchen, because it's just certain about how it's gonna come out. And just make sure you cover every part of that top, the bottom, and the sides. And to keep things nice and clean in your kitchen, I like to use one of these resealable bags. It's really helpful because I'm gonna be flipping the pork over and over day after day, and it just keeps everything nice and clean. And just make sure you get all the residual cure right into your bag. And to get the most air out of your pork belly, give it a quick seal like this. And I close it like 75% of the way. And then I put a little bit of pressure down just to squeeze out all the rest of that air. And then I just have to finish that seal. And here we have our pork belly that's nice in a single layer. And I just massage it and I get all of that cure right in there. And it's as easy as that to cure your own bacon. This is gonna sit in your fridge for about 7 to 10 days. Flip it over every once a day or so. Just give it a quick flip like that. Give it a little massage. You know, get all those flavors, all that cure in there. And making your own bacon is as simple as starting with this cure, and then I'm gonna show you how to finish it. But I have one here that's been completely cured, much bigger piece as well too. So if you think about the cure as the foundation of the bacon, it's been given 7 days and it's penetrated all the way to the center of the bacon. And that's where we're at right now. So the surface is tacky, it's a little bit sticky, and it's not wet. Think about it like I'm doing the work to prime the painting before applying the paint. It's called forming a pellicle. And I did that by letting it hang out uncovered in my fridge for 24 hours. That's gonna allow it to be prepared to take in all that smoky flavor and goodness. So we got the cured bacon and we have the surface prepared. Now it's time to add some flavor. And so traditionally I would blend up a jerk paste and I would apply it liberally, but then we're gonna lose out on all that nice pellicle that we have developed on the bacon itself. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna split it, dry and then wet. I'm gonna first prepare my dry ingredients, and that's a bit of cinnamon, some bay leaf, and some nutmeg, and then the classics, which is you can't have jerk without pimento. And then I'm gonna echo with a little bit of extra brown sugar as well too. I'm gonna put these on right before going to smoke, and then halfway through the process, once it's taken in all that smoke, then I'm gonna start to put some of my wet ingredients, and then we're gonna have the best of both worlds. Flavorful and still smoky, and accepting all that smoky, tasty flavors. So I'm gonna jerk one of them, and I'm gonna keep one plain. Now for the wet components. Traditionally, I would make this a little bit more pasty and kind of moist, but I want to keep this as tight and as dry as I possibly can, just so that it's not making a really wet bacon. Scallions, some Scotch bonnet, some ginger, garlic, fresh thyme. And traditionally I'd put a lot of soy sauce, but with this I want to put just the minimum just to bring it all together. All right, so we're gonna start, oh yeah. Now's the time that we add smoke flavor to our bacon, and it starts off with building our fire. Like any good Jamaican, it's built off of resourcefulness, and I like to keep used egg cartons, some little branches that I pick up from the forest or any time I'm chopping wood. And one of the key things is everybody has one of these, used cooking fat. And I'm gonna show you how this makes the best fuel to start off my fires. So take your small twigs and little bits of bark, intersperse those over top. And we're looking to build this kind of sandwich effect, and everything is gonna catch fire and rise to the top. So I use this cooking fat, and then I pour this on top of the used egg cartons. And this is just repurposing something that used to be trash and making it to something useful. I feel like that is the best way to show off how we care and how we're being resourceful in the kitchen too. I start off with my egg carton that's gonna hold all of that oil, and it's going to be the source for the fuel, and it lights up very quickly, but it doesn't burn for a long time. And that's why I have my smaller sticks that are gonna make the larger sticks catch on fire. So I'm building this up almost like a log cabin. And that way I have the next set up here, and then I'm gonna put little bits of bark as well too. And then more of the used cooking fat as well too. Ready to light. So this is the kind of fire that looks bright and hot, like it would be something good to cook on, but you don't want to cook on this. What you want is nice coals. You want this cooked down. What's happening right now is it's charring and it's combusting the outer surfaces of the wood, and this is when you get those kind of less than ideal flavors from the wood itself, and the nice smoke that you want to get is a little bit more tamed, it's a little bit more controlled, it's more those coals that are going to give us that nice clean smoke. Right now you're getting the exterior, you're getting the bark. This is where you get that dark gray smoke that can make food a little bit acrid. I've allowed the fire to burn down to where I want it to be. All of the logs have been combusted and they're now giving off that nice clean smoke that I'm looking for. So I put this rack right on top, and notice that I have all of the logs on one side and none on the other. I'm set up for indirect smoking, and that means that I'm gonna put my pork bellies on this side, and then they're not right under the heat as well too. So that's gonna help to cook them a bit more evenly. I have my 2 pork bellies, the one that's gonna be jerked, and I have my plain one over here. Now the most important thing about this is the temperature control. I'm gonna try to get as much of the smoke on there as I possibly can while keeping the temperature around 250 degrees Fahrenheit. What I'm looking for is a cold smoke and a nice cure to the pork belly to get that flavor, but what I'm not looking to do is cook it all the way through. Growing up Jamaican Chinese, one of the key attributes that I admired most about my family was the resourcefulness. Taking something like a used oil drum and repurposing it into something that's valuable, something that makes something beautiful, like a drum pan chicken or jerk chicken. All different types of tasty foods can be coming from this grill. But at one point, this was waste and something that somebody didn't appreciate. But you took something that was cheap and available and taken it and made something beautiful with it. All right, it's been about an hour. And it's been smoking really nice. I'm really happy with the amount of smoke that's coming out of here. And oh man, this is it. You see that mahogany color? That's exactly what I'm looking for. And now that all of this bacon has absorbed the smoky flavor, I'm adding this jerk paste just to give it that little extra element on there. So remember, all those dry spices were ground and put onto that surface, so it's gonna start to give us that flavor. And then now that we're adding this, the rest of those jerk ingredients, this is gonna be a super, super flavor bomb to the pork belly. So typically when you go to those night markets in Jamaica, you're gonna see a drum pan chicken. And that's what you find people chopping up and putting into aluminum foil. You might get a little squirt of ketchup on there. It just has a little bit less of a dimension than a jerk chicken. Traditional jerk chicken is all about that long, deep smoking process. Similar ingredients, just a different approach in how you're gonna make it. Jerk chicken for me is the king of all chicken preparations. But drum pan chicken is those fun ones that you'll find at the club after 2 o'clock in the morning, the ones that are smoky outside, and it's just more there for fun times.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. So you see how the jerk paste has kind of been cooked onto there, and bacon's still definitely raw as well too, but it's got that nice golden mahogany color. It's absorbed all of that smoke, and this is going to be ready to chill down in the fridge before I slice it up and get to taste it. So bacon's out. You can tell by that nice mahogany color that it's taken on. It smells amazing as well too. Let's see how it looks. So that is exactly what I'm looking for, that nice bright pink interior. And then we're gonna slice up some of this bacon and see how it cooks. And this is our jerk bacon. Smells amazing. Check that out. This is exactly what I'm looking for. Check that out. That is picture perfect bacon. Can't wait to see how it cooks. Classic bacon, jerk bacon. Crispy, smoky. It just tastes so good, and it makes you feel so proud when you make it yourself from beginning to end. And this is that jerk bacon. Look how dark it is on the outside. That little extra brown sugar. I smell the aroma of the jerk. Right off the bat, there's a big punch of jerk flavor. It's so unique, and you wouldn't expect the spices to come through quite like they do, and you'd think that it would get really spicy, but it's not. It's using spice as a background note and really having depth of flavor carry through as well too. Both are excellent bacons. I really hope that you try this recipe at home. Everyone, come on in. Come try this. You gotta taste some of this bacon. You got jerk bacon on this side, and we have some more classic bacon over here. Grab a slice.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers. Like
We
it?
made that.
Wow. Wow.
We didn't Craig,
So
but
good.
we did that.